Hello everyone, welcome to Low Rent Rick Scale Modelling and my build of this fantastic 135 scale Russian T-62A tank. This is the second Tamiya piece of armour I've done this week. I've just completed the Challenger 1 Mark III. You can see that build video on my channel. As I've come to expect from Tamiya kits, this one is in absolutely wonderful condition. The mould looks absolutely fantastic. Can't see any flash, any issues, any problems. It's also got those really quite robust tracks in here. I think these ones I'm going to try with the cyanoacrylate joint rather than the heat melt, because it's got such good prongs on it. It looks like they're really tough, and they'll take a glue in rather than using the melt method. Really simple set of decals with a little flash of colour, typical of armour. And I'm pleased to say that this is yet another kit that comes with a good size figure, tank commander figure. I do enjoy a model that comes with a figure, and of course the dreaded road wheels. The colour scheme I'm going to go for is a dark green, and then there's going to be some dry brushing with gunmetal to give a metallic effect. Then we're going to sort of give it a good coating of some satin polyurethane varnish, over which we're going to do a little bit more dry brushing for the metallic effect, and then we're going to mute that metallic effect right down. So for most of the build it'll look quite shiny, and then towards the end, with the matte coat of varnish, it'll come right back and mute down some of that shiny effect, but it will still look slightly metallic. That's what I'm going for. So I'm going to start with a good thin coat of the undercoat in the Vallejo dark green. Such a large part of any armor build, or most armor builds, road wheels. So I'm going to start by quite heavily dry brushing some gunmetal into these road wheels. The camera makes it look a lot more severe because it really picks up on the light. So they do look like they've just been painted silver. But with the naked eye, and then later on the addition of the matte varnish, that will mute right back and look like a metallic green. So I'm going to do all of the road wheels, the idle wheels, and the drive wheel cogs, just with the dry brush to give them that wonderful metallic effect. The entire road wheel build for this model was almost 2 hours, I think. It can be a real time consuming process, and that's why I'm absolutely blistering through it here. I'm sure none of you would like to sit there for 2 hours and watch me painting wheel after wheel after wheel. So it's going through there at about 32 times live speed. So I've decided to do these wheels the old-fashioned way, and I'm going to hand paint them. I did a couple of tests with some markers, and I really want them to look a lot better than that. So I'm going to use Vallejo matte black. The process is basically just using a steady hand and painting one side up to the line of the inner rim of the wheel. And when they're dried off, flip them over and do the other rim, just taking your time and bringing the meniscus of the paint right the way around the wheel. And then I'm going to attach the wheel to the end of a paintbrush, paint the inners and the road surface, and dry off with an airbrush, an empty airbrush, just blowing out air, because this Vallejo paint dries off really quickly so that they don't get messed up with the handling. Before attaching the road wheels, I'm going to dry brush the lower hull, again with the same gunmetal metallic effect, and then mute it down later. But obviously once the wheels are on, I won't be able to get around them or between them. What I do find on these wheel struts that are already attached, that the dry brushing really brings out all the detailing, so all of the little nuts and the curves of the mountings all become really prominent when you do a bit of dry brushing on them, and suddenly it stops becoming a plastic model and starts to look extremely realistic early on. So I would recommend anybody giving the dry brushing with metallics a go, especially on armour, because it really does give the impression that you're stopping working with plastic and starting working with metal. For the track pieces, the instructions do advise using hot screw head or hot screwdriver to melt the three prongs of the attachment to stick them together. But I've had a lot of success on these very robust and wonderful tracks just using an extremely powerful cyanoacrylate. So I'm using Power Bond here, which I get from a wonderful old gentleman on a car boot sale for £3 a bottle. If I buy two, he lets me have them for a fiver, and it's absolutely wonderful. Original Power Bond 806 adhesive. There's a 20-gram bottle, and it's a very, very powerful cyanoacrylate super glue. So I just make sure I let them sit for quite some time, and then they will stand quite a lot of stretching and handling to get them over the road wheels, the idler wheel, and the drive wheel. Now I let that power bond sit on those tracks for about an hour. Uh, I kept coming back and having a look and making sure there is no liquid movement left. But as you can see now, once I've got the drive wheel into the grooves of the track, I can actually apply quite a bit of force to the rubber without it flying apart, which I don't think is quite true if you use the melting of the prongs method, which I've done in the past, and got to this point and actually pulled the thing apart. So I think moving forward, I'll always be using some sort of very powerful cyanoacrylate to attach these two type of tracks together. The upper hull has some work to do on the inside first, including what I've not seen before, an actual metal grill, a solid metal grill to go at the back over the louvers. Never seen one of those before, but it's quite a nice addition. It's got a really good effect when it's in, which would be easily replicated in plastic, but there's something about having a metal part. The upper side of the hull had quite a lot of construction to do, building the sides of all the storage boxes, and there's quite a few tanks, like jerry can type tanks that go on too. But it all adds to that wonderful detail that these Tamiya armor kits have. For attaching the upper to the lower hull, I'm going to revert to a bit of Revell contactor to give me time to position the hull and get it moved around, knowing that I've got a good amount of adhesive in the two clips, which will stay there. And Tamiya Extra Thin is my go-to, but so, for some applications I still go back to the contactor especially in this case where I want the adhesive to sit while I get the positioning correct, and the contactor does that really well. Once they're set, I'm going to give a bit of a touch up here. So any glue marks, any shiny parts where the Tamiya has melted through, I'm just going to go over and give it all a patch with a bit more of the dark green. Now to repeat the process on the upper hull, a bit of dry brushing with gunmetal to bring out the effect that we're not looking at a plastic model, we're looking at a metal one, which really does work. And later on, once we varnish, that effect will get muted right down so it doesn't look so obvious. To paint up the mounted machine gun, I'm going to try one of these Galeri markers, the metallic series that they sent me over to give a go with. First time I've used one, and I've got to say it's just like using a very accurate paintbrush. The gunmetal colour is absolutely fantastic. It comes in 10 different colours within the set, all of which I'll be trying out on the strength of how good this one's going on. If you want to get yourself a set, you can get yourself a discount. Look at the description. There are links there to the Galeri website, and you can use my code Low Rent Rick Scale Modeling to get a discount there. And I've also linked the Ambition Series airbrush and compressor kit that they sent me over, which I'm still using every single day. And you can get these markers also using the link on Amazon. So do check them out. They are absolutely amazing. The turret seemed like the least complicated part of the build, but there's in fact quite a lot going on here. There's a couple of really good detailed hinged doors, plenty of searchlights to go on, and also this is another part that will look really good once we get the dry brushing with the gunmetal on it. And there's a couple of decals to go on the covers of the lights too. The mounted machine gun, believe it or not, turned out to be the most difficult part of the build, the most fiddly. There's just no real indication of how it orientates, and you have to look pretty closely at the paintings on the box art and on the instructions to just get a feel for where the struts fit. And also, it's movable as well, so you've got to be careful which parts you glue and which you don't. So it did turn into a little bit fiddly and a little bit of a struggle. I got a lot more glue on me than on it, but a little bit of perseverance and a little bit of reading of the instructions, and I finally got there. It is rather difficult, to be fair. It's not really intuitive how it goes together. The turret will also now get a touch up to eliminate any glue marks and to restore that finish, and then we'll start to dry brush that too to bring it in line with the rest of the model. So as far as the tank is concerned, this is really the final assembly part now, sticking all the accessories on, making sure everything's in the right place before we look at the figure, and then the final part of the build, which will be the varnish, the decals, and then the matte varnish. The first coat will be satin polyurethane, to give the decals something to stick to, and also to protect all that dry brushing that I've done while I'm handling. And then once the decals are on, we're going to go for a final coat of Vallejo matte varnish over the top to really mute back that shine, to take a little bit of the edge off the metallic effect, and hopefully it'll settle somewhere reasonably realistic. Unlike the model itself, the figure needed a little bit of fettling. They've always got a little bit of a seam around them, which I'm going to take back with the file. And then you'll see me go over the top of where I've filed back with Tamiya Extra Thin. I just find it really smooths out any file marks or any little tiny bits of flash that you may have missed. The Extra Thin just melts them back. It does leave the model quite shiny, but we're going to spray a very light blue and then going to dry brush with the grey over the top. And using the airbrush for the base coat, and then hand brushing for the top coat. Now the varnish is set nicely, it's time for the decals. You can see that it's got still got quite a bit of a semi-gloss shine to it, which we'll fix with the Vallejo matte varnish once we've got all the decals in place. Now time for the matte varnish, and one of the beauty of using a time lapse when you're applying these varnishes is you can actually see as the effect becomes muted in much faster time than I can see it when I'm actually spraying it. So as I speed up the video, you'll be able to see the shading actually mute back in quite a fast succession, rather than in real time when it's like you keep having to stop and have a look at it. But I think the final result is amazing. And there we are with the finished article. I'm extremely proud of this model. I really enjoyed the Challenger 1 from Tamiya, and this T62 has been an absolute pleasure to build. I really enjoy the effect I've got, the muted green matte along with the metallic dry brushing, I think has really made the model pop out. I'm really pleased with it. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. Even if there is anybody still there, I'm not convinced anybody watches to this point. If you do, give me a hello in the comments so I know that people are watching. Please do check out the description for all the links and discounts to the Galeri metallic markers and the Ambition series compressor and airbrush kit. And I'll see you very soon in the next video. Go and check out our Facebook group. We're nearly at 2,000. We could do with you joining and sharing your work. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next